Welcome to Tech News Briefing. It's Thursday, July 13th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. On Tuesday, a federal judge ruled that Microsoft can close its $75 billion acquisition of video game publisher Activision Blizzard. The Federal Trade Commission plans to appeal the ruling, but the decision was a blow to the agency and its chair, Lina. She's been a vocal critic of big tech and has tried to take on the industry's growth since taking over the FTC in 2021. Over the last 2 years, though, the agency has a track record of losing its bids to stop acquisitions by big tech giants. WSJ legal enforcement reporter Dave Michaels has been looking into this and joins me now. So, Dave, can you just remind us about Khan's position on big tech?
She is a critic of big tech's expansion over the past decade and the government's decision really not to challenge a lot of their deals and a lot of their growth. She came to prominence based on a law review article she wrote several years ago about Amazon.com, and that article really made the case that what she saw as old-fashioned thinking in antitrust law had failed to challenge Amazon's dominance.
As chair of the FTC, what has she done then to take on big tech?
Well, there's 3 tracks, but one is she is challenging their deals. When they buy smaller companies that give them a foothold in a new and growing industry, she has intervened and sued to try to block the transaction, arguing that it would violate antitrust law. And so far, she has tried that with both Meta, the owner of Facebook, and more recently with Microsoft.
And how have those cases worked out in the courts for the FTC?
Well, she lost the Meta case. The theory that the FTC presented to a court in the Meta case was a theory that they don't use very often. The court there said, the theory is okay, but you don't have the evidence to back it up. The court there declined to stop Meta's purchase of this virtual reality company. In the Microsoft case, the theory that the FTC used is a little more standard, but again, they lost.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those legal theories and why take a different approach than the agency has in the past?
Well, her view is that courts have grown too narrowly focused on consumer prices as the indicator of whether there is a lack of competition or there will be a harm to competition as a result of consolidation. She says the law should properly consider a lot of other factors, including effect on workers and diminished innovation. But her approach to this is the law is not hyper-technical and is not obsessed with doing economic exercises to arrive at a prediction of future prices. She thinks the law says more simply that, mergers are generally not good for competition. And so there should be sort of a presumption that they're not legal, and the courts should take a more skeptical view.
Can you tell us about the other tracks, the other methods that the FTC has been using to take on big tech?
Yeah, so in addition to challenging deals, the FTC can bring cases that challenge what you think of as monopolies. And the Journal has reported that the FTC is expected to file that kind of a lawsuit against Amazon relatively soon over Amazon's e-commerce business practices. They're also waging a similar lawsuit like that against Meta over their social media business. And one of the things the FTC is seeking is for Meta to unwind the acquisition of Instagram. So they have that channel. They also have the channel where they can write regulations. They don't write as many rules as other federal agencies that you might think of, like the Securities and Exchange Commission, but they can write rules. And they have proposed one competition rule so far. It's very controversial. It affects employment agreements that employers make with workers.
So what do these legal setbacks, but also these other avenues for setting rules against big tech mean for the FTC's wider strategy going forward?
They've definitely suffered some early setbacks, but you may see them refine their legal arguments and the cases that they pick going forward. Some lawyers told me that decades ago, the FTC had a really hard time opposing hospital mergers. They lost a lot of cases in a row. And what they did was pull back, try to study and better understand the effect of hospital consolidation, and then start over again. And they started winning those hospital merger cases. And now they still bring those cases and they win them. So perhaps what we'll see is them pull back a little bit and try to think through how to do some of these tech deal cases that are not your standard horizontal merger case where you're putting two competitors together. But it's worth keeping in mind that Lina Khan is an appointee of the Biden administration. The first term of the Biden administration runs out in a little more than a year. So I don't think that she can retrench, pull back, and study too long.
All right, that was our reporter, Dave Michaels. And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. For more tech stories, head over to our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for The Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.